G'day everybody, how are you all going? Today I thought I might make another video, and this has also been the talk of the week, changing the date to our traditional Australia Day. What's everyone's opinion on that? Like, I know this is a very edgy subject, and not to mention it's also touchy. Everyone's got pretty mixed opinions about this, but today I thought I might make a video on what I think about changing the day to Australia. I don't think that we should change the date. I reckon we should just stick to how it's always been, because it's about us becoming a nation. It's also about us all being proud of the country we live in. And it's also about us all acknowledging that we are all Australian. So I don't reckon that we should be changing the day. Like, I can understand why certain people are offended by this. I do. Like, I do think what happened, how Australia was discovered by Captain James Cook when he brought those convicts over on those ships from the UK to Australia who committed petty things like stealing a loaf of bread to support their families. And the prisons were full, so they were shipped over here. And that's how Australia was discovered. And I do think it was also wrong the way this land was invaded, because some people prefer this holiday as Invasion Day. How we invaded this country from the Indigenous people or Aboriginals. And nothing was really said 20 years ago about how they killed a lot of them. Like, I think that was wrong, and I do think it was wrong the way they stole their kids off them. I do think all those things were wrong. They never should have happened. And in 2008, I remember we used to have a day called Sorry Day. Does anyone remember that, when we say sorry to what happened to those Indigenous Australians? I do think that, who was the Prime Minister around that time? Kevin Rudd, I think it was. I do think it was good of him to introduce that day, and I think we should have still kept that day, because we do need to acknowledge that it was wrong what happened, but at the same time, we also need to understand that none of us today are responsible for what happened 3 centuries ago. It was sad, but none of us are responsible. And I think now time has progressed. I reckon it's time for us to forget the past and just move on. And also, Australia Day is not just about us, it's about the Indigenous and everyone else that lives here too. I believe everybody that lives here, doesn't matter what race or nationality you are, you should have a right to celebrate a day showing that you're proud of the country you live in. Because that's what the holiday was about. It's not about all the genocide and all this stuff that these... It's not about the woke movement. It's about us all being proud of this country. Yes, I think that day should also be about mourning too, but it can also be a day about where we all get together, including our Torres Strait Islanders. So that's why I don't think that they should change. I think that we should just stick to how it's always been. And I do think the government should just leave it as it is. Because the weird thing is, all these years, nobody had a problem with it. Even our Indigenous Australians didn't have a problem with it. It's only been in recent years, maybe, let me guess, 2018, 2019, 2020, after we had that big Black Lives Matter debacle that originally started in America after George Floyd's death, that we have to change everything to suit the minority. I've watched old advertisements about Australia Day, even in the 80s before I was born, and those adverts that showed even some of the Indigenous loved Australia Day. It's not because it's about Invasion Day, but about them all being Australian. Why can't we just go back to that? Why are we arguing? I'm know why we're even having this conversation right now. I don't even know why I'm even making this video right now. But I do think that we just need to stop all this wokey crap. And it's not just Australia Day, like there's other things too that they want to stop. And I won't get into all the details, but I think it's just time that we stop all of this because it's really getting out of hand. It's not making the country or making the world better. It's actually just turning it, it's actually really just dividing us because we've all got opinions. We're a democratic society, but making laws out of your opinion is actually forcing your opinion onto somebody else. I noticed how they haven't got rid of Valentine's Day yet because a lot of people probably don't like that. But yet no one's thought of banning that yet. A lot of people probably don't like Christmas or Easter either because they've probably lost loved ones around that time. And does that mean they're going to stop Christmas and Easter for those who lost a family? No, they don't. So I don't think it should really be any different with Australia Day. Like, we understand, we acknowledge that it was horrible. If we could go back in time, we could probably stop it if we had special technology that could take us back in time. But we just don't have. And I reckon the way they force it on kids in schools, forcing kindergarteners to write letters to Indigenous people, even though they're not going to read them, but the teachers force them to write things. And I'll quote an example. They had forced kids to write, "Dear Dallarelle people," because that's what they just told them to write. "We are sorry for what we did to your country. We are disgusted and disgraced with our behaviour and what we did." I find that absolutely abhorrent and disgusting how a teacher from university got a job in a preschool, maybe early primary school, and he's forcing kids to write that, he or she. And I think that should be a criminal sentence because our younger generations, me and anyone who was before or after me, we're not responsible for what happened. Like, yes, we understand, but we ain't responsible, and they shouldn't be making us feel responsible for things we didn't do. Like, we shouldn't be feeling guilty of things we didn't do. Yes, we feel sorry, but not apologetic sorry, like we're sorry that it happened, but at the same time, we all know none of us did it. None of us. So we shouldn't be sparing the guilt. As much as we do feel the condolences for what happened, the guilt shouldn't be put on us. So that's why I reckon this January, get up for those who want to celebrate it and celebrate it, because people very happily celebrate anything else. So if you want to celebrate Australia Day and you want to have a barbecue, invite your mates over, do so. And I don't think it was right that Woolworths and that, like, maybe it was their decision, maybe their boss made them do it. But I just think that all this stuff that's going on now would stop is all I wish. I just wish we could just live in a world of peace. Anyway, enjoy your day, people.